Hey, what's up guys? It's Chris, and today I thought we could do something a little different. I've been going through the subreddit r/photography lately. There's some pretty cool posts on there. It can be pretty informative for photographers who are new or experienced and you just want to learn different people's opinions on certain subjects. Today I want to get into something, and the title of this post is called Advice on How to Proceed with a Client. So we'll jump right into it. The person says, I recently took photos of a recurring sporting event for a client. 63 photos were taken in total, 20 being deemed worthy of edit by my standards. When the client received the photos, they said that they were expecting more. I offered to take more photos free of charge at their next event, and they did accept that offer. However, the client has asked me to release to them the remaining 43 unedited photos. The photographer says, I believe in only releasing my best work, so releasing unedited photos is against my principles. I'm still relatively new to photography and still getting my name out there. Just curious as how the community would recommend proceeding. Any feedback greatly appreciated. Now myself, having done professional photography for weddings, families, events for the past 4 or 5 years, I feel like I can offer some input here, but a lot of people in the comments have many great points as well. One of the big points here that a lot of people get into in the comments is that the photographer only took 63 photos at the event, period. Like, that's not even just what they were thinking of delivering. It's just literally 63 clicks on their camera during an entire event. Somewhere the photographer gets into in this post that this was a 3-hour youth basketball game. Really only like 45 minutes of actual play time was happening during the game. So they kind of justify 63 photos by, not a lot happened during the game. What a lot of people say in the comments, though, is that even 63 photos is very low, especially for a sporting event where a lot of different things are happening. People are, taking baskets, they're dribbling up and down the court. You want to really be on like full blast, full auto mode on your camera, taking as many stills as you can so that you have a lot to work with in editing. Like this person says, in any normal sporting event, I would expect that, especially for 2 hours, significantly more than 60 photos would be taken. In sports, you really can't just wait for the perfect photo to happen. You should be shooting many pictures of the action every time you're near it. Now, this can apply to sports or pretty much any other live event, like a concert or a wedding, where there's no do-overs. The event just happens, you're there to capture it, and if you miss something, you're screwed. Like, you can't go back and redo it. So, like what this person is saying is you can't wait for the perfect photo to happen, and you're just gonna click your shutter and that's going to be the one that you got. To give an example for weddings, let's say like the first dance between the bride and groom can go on for a few minutes. Not much different is probably going to happen in terms of what they're doing. They're probably just holding each other, slow dancing, talking with each other, smiling or crying. And it's just really important to just be clicking away pretty much the whole time. Because you never know when they're just going to have that perfect smile. You're going to get that perfect angle where they're both looking at each other, having great expressions. You can't just be waiting there for that one moment to happen and then just nail that shot on its own. You got to be kind of taking photos throughout the entire dance so that, maybe a few of them are going to be perfect and then the rest were just safety shots, basically. You don't need to deliver all of them, but it was good to have all those extra shots because you never really know when the perfect moment is going to happen. This other comment here says that they would expect at least 10,000 shots minimum during a 3-hour event like this. I don't know if they're just being a little sarcastic. But, 10,000 is a bit ridiculous. I mean, even during like a 10-hour wedding day, I'm not even coming close to 10,000 shots. So, especially a 3-hour basketball event where maybe only 1 hour of actual game time is happening, you don't need to come close to 10,000. But, more than 63 shots just for safety. Now, aside from that, another point that I would like to talk about is setting up expectations with your client in advance. Now, this could maybe be the first time this photographer has done a sporting event and they just weren't really sure of how much they were going to capture, how many final images that they were going to deliver, or what people usually expect in general. If you're like the coach of the team and you want normally 100 to 200 shots of every game, but this photographer doesn't know that, then they're going to come into this game and take less photos than they maybe should be. So it's super important to talk to your client in advance and just make sure that you know what they want, or at least just set the expectations of what you're likely going to deliver. For example, now that I have a few years of experience doing weddings and engagement shoots and family sessions and things like that, I can typically suggest that a 2-hour family photo session you're probably going to get around 50 final images. And a lot of times it could be more than that, but around 50 is a good number, and people usually feel pretty happy with that. A wedding, if it's around 10 hours, I'll typically deliver like 4, 5, maybe 600 final images. They're all edited, but it's important for the client to know that in advance. You just definitely don't want the event to happen. You take your photos, you go through your culling process and your editing workflow, and then you finally deliver the pictures that you think are the best of the best and that they're going to be happy with. And all of a sudden they're like, wait, hold on, we expected like double or triple the amount of photos from this. So it's super important to talk to them in advance and just set them up for expectations. Like if this photographer had talked to the client, let's say if it was the coach of the team or whatever school, and let's say if they talked to them and they said, hey, just to let you know, if the game's around 3 hours, that probably means there's going to be about 1 hour of playtime, meaning I could probably get like 50 to 100 final images. Let's say if the coach is like, well, we're typically used to getting like 200 or 300 final images. Is there any way that that's going to be possible? You don't have to just give in to whatever they want. You can tell them like, look, I can give you 300 photos, but most of them aren't going to be that great. I kind of just pride myself on delivering the best of the best, and I want you to be really happy with what you get. I don't want there to just be a lot of filler images in between the good stuff. So, it could be possible that I can deliver you 300, but, you're going to be a lot happier, and I can spend a lot more quality time editing the 100 best images as opposed to giving you 300, and the majority of them aren't even going to be that great. And now you are going to be spending less time on editing. You're going to be rushing through them. And so the final products aren't even going to be as good as, what you want them to be. And with this point of expectations not being set, here's a good comment. This person says, personally, I would give the other photos to the client unedited. It would keep them happy, and it would be a way to keep that relationship positive. What you lose by being rigid is greater than what you gain by not delivering the better images here. Chalk it up to being new, and always give clients a photo minimum per gig. So the first point here is giving the client all the rest of the images, edited or unedited. In this case, since the expectations weren't set, and this could be a client where maybe you could be doing more games for them as the years come, it's probably better to just keep them happy here. Maybe kind of compromise and deliver some more of the better images, but not literally everything. Because if there's stuff where it's just, it's just a bad shot, it's out of focus, nobody's looking, nothing interesting is happening, they definitely don't need those. And you don't want to kind of water down your good images with the bad stuff like that. So I'd at least cut those out, but I'd maybe compromise and just give them a little bit more of what might be useful. The photographer did already kind of do the right thing here. In their original post, they said that they would deliver more free photos to the client at their next event. The client accepted that, so I'm sure they're pretty happy about that. But in this event, maybe give them a few more images. I would never ever deliver anything unedited. At least just take the time to edit those extra images before you deliver them. By giving out unedited images, you're really not representing what your full value is and what your brand looks like. So I say that you shouldn't give out unedited images, but at least if you have to kind of meet in the middle, give more than you usually would just to keep this person happy. Not a bad idea in this case. It's always worth just keeping your clients happy, being professional, and trying to set those expectations in advance so that nobody's unhappy. It also sounds like in this situation that there was no contract or anything really written formally of what they were going to be providing. That's always a good idea. Super, super important. I would always recommend at least having a contract with your client, even if it's only a few paragraphs, just stuff that covers like the location, the time frame that you're going to be there. Some clients want to just have all the images unedited. They think that they just get all of that, when 99% of the time, that's not how photographers work. So just set up in advance that, you're not going to deliver unedited raw photos. I would always recommend having something in writing. Definitely a contract is super important. But if you're just beginning and you don't have a full contract kind of prepped and legally double checked, I would at least have something in writing, like a formal email or a text message where you really lay out what's going to be delivered and what the expectations are on both sides. So at least if you had an email where you just discussed that, hey, I'm going to be the one that selects the images. Here's how many I probably am going to be delivering to you. I'm going to have to edit all them. They can't be unedited. Here's the time frame that I'm going to be there. Just basic stuff like that. just to have that conversation and have it in writing. Because if it's after the event like this and there was any misunderstandings between what the client was going to get and what you're delivering, you can always at least go back to that email or whatever the written form was and just say like, hey, here's what we agreed to. So if there was any issue, you probably should have brought it up beforehand. Not to say that that 100% solves every situation, but at least having something in writing really helps, keep things grounded and less of a he said, she said, or, what the client just had in their imagination of what they were going to be getting. Because again, not everybody's a professional photographer. They don't know the whole workflow and what goes into it. So it's kind of your job as the photographer to guide the client through the experience and let them know what you're offering, especially if it's a paid job. I mean, if you were just showing up here for free, maybe not as big of a deal. It's kind of just, you're getting some portfolio work, they're getting some cool images. Honestly, even in that case, even if you're doing something for free, still have stuff in writing just so, the scope of what you're expected to deliver doesn't just go through the roof. But having that stuff in writing is super important. Setting up those expectations in advance is super important. And just making sure the client knows what they're getting into when they hire you. So just want to go through some of this Reddit post real quick. I thought it was pretty interesting and could be pretty informative for other photographers. I'm going to try to do a little bit more of this, go through some other posts and just give my thoughts. Definitely leave your comments below. I'm going to leave the link to this Reddit post in the description. So, feel free to read it through more of it if you're interested. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.